Hello and welcome. This is our third video as part of our creative isolation pack with PostPieces and UnheardPoetry. In this one we're going to do a little bit of geometric pen design. I'll show you. Here we go. So we're going to create something like this. Last time obviously we did a little bit of watercolour, and the week before we did some perspective drawing. So I kind of thought that we would mix it up and do a bit of both. No. So yeah, for this one what you'll need is a ruler, definitely, because you kind of need to measure out all this bit, like little triangle bits. Triangle, that is the artistic and scientific term, triangularly bits. And you will also need a pen, pencil, rubber. For the pens, I use these like Micron, they're called. They're quite fancy, so if you're not really big on buying the fancy stuff, you don't have to. A biro ballpoint pen will work just fine, but if you do these, if you are into that and you're looking for good like multi-liner pens, these come in like a set of 8 and you get like all different sizes. They're really, really good. I use them for pretty much everything that I draw. Yeah, and some watercolor paints again, just to do like a little wash effect at the end. Yeah, this one is, it looks difficult, but it's honestly really, really straightforward. Yeah, that's kind of all there is for me. I really hope you guys are enjoying these videos. I don't really draw a lot of landscapes actually, so this has been really good practice for me. So thank you, and I really hope you enjoy it. Here we go.
So for this one, the first thing that you're going to want to do is find the center point of the page. Basically what you need to do for this is use your ruler and measure the length and the width of the page, and then mark your middle point and draw a line going from the midpoint of the length and the midpoint of the width of the page, and then that'll give you your center point in the middle of the page. And then from that, what we're going to do is if you use you want about 5 centimeters on each side. So if you match up the 5 on your ruler with the center point on the page, which is where the 2 lines meet, and then basically draw a line so that you've got 5 centimeters on each side. Then basically what you're going to do is draw an equal length triangle. So what you want to do is do another 10 centimeters going down the page on one side, and then 10 centimeters going down the page on the other side, until you kind of have a triangle that looks like this. And then basically all we're going to do now is kind of extend those lines a bit further. So for the line on the right hand side, we're going to go another like 5 centimeters. So we've got a 15 centimeter line. And then for the line on the left hand side, we're going to go about 18, 19. You don't want to go too far up the page so that it knocks everything off center. So yeah, we'll stick to about 18 centimeters. We want that side to be a bit longer just for like the final design. It just looks quite cool. And then now you're going to go through with your rubber and rub out any of the lines that we don't need, which includes the line joining the 2 sides together, and your lines that made up the center point as well. So now the next thing that we want to do is draw the mountains. Basically I just start doing random lines in any kind of direction. This doesn't have to be too precious. You can kind of go a bit nuts with it, whatever way you want your mountains to look. I end up doing about 3 separate mountains. So I do a big one, a medium-sized one on the left, and then a smaller one again on the right underneath the big one. It's just to add some kind of depth to the piece. You don't have to be too precious about this. Yeah, so just, you can either completely copy mine, or you can kind of do your own thing and have your mountains going in any direction whatsoever. It is completely up to you. If you do decide to do something different from mine, please feel free to send it to us. We'd love to see any work that you guys create. So now that we have our mountains, basically what I'm going to do is draw a moon. I am left-handed, so I'm really sorry. At this point I block the page, so you kind of can't see what I'm doing, but as soon as I move my hand you'll be able to see. I'm going to draw a bit of a moon, or a sun, could be either. And I use a Pritt stick to do that, to trace around that. You can use anything in your house that is a circle. I am not one for having all of the gadgets, so I literally just use what's lying around. Then what I do after that is join up the triangle frame to the mountains. It just completes the portrait a bit. And now for the next thing for us to do is to take our pen, our multi-liner, and just go over those lines. If you do have separate pens, go for a thicker one for your outline so that your thinner one can be used for shading. If you don't, do not worry about it, just go over it as thick as you possibly can. Yeah, so you just want to go over absolutely everything, including the triangle frame. And then again, what I do on the left-hand side, same as the right, I just finish the triangle off. I don't go the whole way, I just go until about the tip of the medium-sized mountain. So now what I do is with a thinner multi-liner, again, if you don't have one, don't worry about it, it's absolutely fine. What I do is I go through and I kind of divide up the side of my mountain that I want to be in shadow. So for this, we're going to do all of our shadows on the right hand side of the mountains. So anywhere that I've kind of got like an edge or like a point, I go through and I just kind of draw some random lines. Again, mountains are never perfect. Like, that's the great thing about these landscapes that we've been drawing. Like, none of the lines have to be perfect, so you can kind of go a bit nuts with these lines. Again, feel absolutely free to copy mine until you kind of get used to it, but yeah, it doesn't have to be perfect, so work away. So I do these for all of the mountains that I've drawn, the big one at the top, and then the medium-sized one, and then the small one at the bottom. So for this landscape, what we're going to use is pointillism as our form of shading. So basically this is just kind of using dots to create shadows. And what you want to do with this is in the corners and in the points of the mountains, that's where you want to be quite dot heavy, as you could say. And then in the middle of those spaces, you kind of want it to be, you want the dots to be spread out a little bit more so that it kind of creates a like gradient that's going from dark to light to dark. We're going to do this along the whole right side of our lines that we've just drawn on our individual mountains. I'm going to jump forward, and basically if you want you can pause the video and use mine as a reference, because this takes quite long. It is very therapeutic, but it does take quite a long time, so I don't want to bore you with me just doing dots on a page. So as you can see, I've gone through on the right hand side of every mountain where I've drawn in those lines to divide it up, and I've used the pointillism shading to just kind of create shadows on that side. I'll leave this here for a while so that you can pause the video and you can copy mine. Also, what I've done, as you can see, is I've gone over my moon because I kind of forgot to cover that in the previous part of the video. So now that we have done that, we're going to add in some trees because I'm a sucker for trees and mountains. So this is as simple as it was for our watercolor video. We're going to start with the lines in the middle of the tree, so the branches, the tree trunks, and basically all you're going to do is draw the lines down the middle and then have some curved lines coming off from the top right down, and they get longer as you go down the tree. And yeah, you can choose wherever you want to put these. I kind of put them all over the bottom of the page. It totally doesn't matter if they overlap as well. In fact, it looks more like a forest if they do overlap. So yeah, add as many trees as you like. And then when we're finished that, the next thing that I'm going to do now is add our paint. So I go for like a nice dark kind of bluey green. You can pick any color you like, and all I'm going to do actually is highlight the mountains. And I'm going to do on the sides where I have used the pointillism, I'm going to do a darker kind of shade. And with any kind of watercolor piece like we covered last week, you want to use as much water as possible on the lighter sides and then more paint on the darker sides. Yeah, so that's kind of it for this week's video. Thank you so much for watching, and I really hope you enjoyed it. As always, if you have any questions whatsoever, please feel free to message me. You can leave a comment down below and I'll see it, or you can message me at @ormcnulty on Instagram, or you can head over to @PostPieces on Instagram, and you can kind of see what we get up to there, and you're more than welcome to send us messages on that account as well, and I'll be sure to see them. Thank you once again, and have a wonderful rest of your week.